Hi everyone, it is good to be with you. I appreciate you taking time to watch these videos. There's a lot going on right now in the church. I want you to know a lot about it. I'll try to keep this brief, but there are some really important things to share. So if you've got a pen handy or something to make some notes on your calendar, I would encourage you to do that. First of all, we have some work days scheduled. Now, this is something we haven't done since before COVID, but boy, do we need to do it. We have periodically, for a long time, we will set aside a few days as work days at the church. And what this looks like is, in this particular case, it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's September 5, 6, and 7. We open the doors of the church on the Thursday and Friday. We open them from 8 in the morning and leave them open until 8 at night. And then on Saturday from 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. And what you can do is this. You and your family, you can come in and we will have information laid out for you, very understandable. There will always be a staff person around to ask questions of, but there will be information out there, various jobs and tasks that need doing. It'll give details about where they are, what's needed, and this will accommodate really anybody of any skill level. It can be something as basic as cleaning something or straightening something, to painting something or repairing something or maybe installing something. So all kinds of opportunities for various skill levels, and then there can be some outside things as well, weather permitting, that anybody can get involved in too. This is a huge benefit to the church. There are so many things at a facility our size that need doing, and we really do try hard to keep up with all of those, but it makes a big difference when we can take a couple of days and just really focus on kind of catching up on certain kinds of things. The kinds of things that aren't urgent, but they just look so much better when they're done. And so if you can just look at your calendar, September 5, 6, and 7, and see if one of those days or one of those evenings could possibly work for you, we would so appreciate that. You'll be seeing more about this in the next couple of weeks. But again, this is a great time just to bring your family. Obviously, if the children are too young, it's not that kind of environment for them. But really, there's outside kinds of tasks that even 10 and 12-year-olds can be involved in, and then lots of things inside as well. So please prioritize that, and we'll give you more information as we get closer to that date. And it's also, by the way, just a great time for fellowship. We'll have drinks and things like that on hand. You can bring lunch with you or bring dinner with you and show up and do a couple of hours of work in your church and just make it a great time. Okay, secondly, I want you to know this, that people are asking about the schedule, fall schedule, when it's going to return. And to be perfectly honest with you, we haven't committed fully to going back to 2 services yet. There are so many pluses for that, but there is also so much to be said for 1 service. But tentatively, our plan is to return to 2 services on October the 6th. There's a lot of Sunday evening events going on between now and then, and so we're looking to kind of move past those and then tentatively to return to 2 services October 6th, but I'll let you know when we firm that up. Also, we have Next Steps returning starting this coming Sunday night. I shared about it on Sunday. I sent out a little video about it last week. I want to remind you of this. Next Steps is an on-ramp, so to speak. It's a way for people who are relatively new to the church, or in our case, because this really faded at COVID season, and this is the first time we're bringing it back online. People who may have been around for the church for quite a while, but you've never been a part of Next Steps. This is a way for you to find out a lot of information about the church, to hear some really important things about vision and our calling as a church. And then it's going to be a time where there's a lot of not just information, but a lot of challenge and encouragement. Some things that will really benefit you directly regarding learning more about your own spiritual giftings and things of that nature. So it's going to be a great time. And I hope that you will be able to be a part of it. It's on 4 separate Sunday nights, but the first one is this Sunday night. and it's going to be at 6 p.m. We will be serving dinner. We're going to have childcare. Depending on how many kids are there, we're going to see. So it is very much first come, first serve regarding childcare. We need you to register. You can do that on the app. Let us know so we can be prepared. Now, please remember this. I asked, even if you have been a part of a Next in the past, or you've been an official member of New Life for many years, we would love to have you at this first one. I would love to have as many of our regular attenders at this first one as we can possibly have. I believe God's going to use that time to kind of reset us in some very important ways. So I'm asking you to please prioritize that night. Would very much appreciate it. The last thing I wanted to mention to you is this. Pastor Steve Smith, we've been praying for him as a church family for some time, and Pastor Denzel. Steve and Denzel both were founding pastors of New Life Community Church. If it weren't for Steve's vision, if it weren't for Pastor Denzel and Pastor Eldon, who is now with Jesus, if it weren't for their willingness to say yes to this vision and this call, New Life wouldn't even exist. And when I think about New Life, I think so much about the friendships that people have made out of this church. If you've got somebody in this church, you came to know them at New Life, and this friendship is very important to you. Or I think about the revelations God has brought. I can't tell you as a pastor how many times, I mean literally, it's been hundreds of times. People have said to me, I went to church my whole life, but I never realized that part of the beauty of the gospel, or that part of the beauty of serving Jesus until I came to New Life. If you think about those kinds of revelations, and you think about the miracles you've seen and so forth, none of that would have been here if it weren't for Steve and Denzel and Eldon. And Steve and Denzel are both literally fighting for their lives. It's come down to, with both of them, they have cancer. And even though they don't live here anymore, they both live in Florida now. There is a really strong sense in my own heart and in the hearts of many people that have talked to me about this, that we have got to war for their healing. Now, there's so much about healing I don't know. But I do know this. I know that God heals still, and I know that we get the beautiful privilege of believing the report of the Lord over the report of the doctors. And so this coming Saturday night, we have a regularly scheduled Saturday night of prayer, and that's usually a very small group that gathers. But I'm asking you, this Saturday night, we're going to do this starting at 6 p.m. Our usual prayer time is 6:30, but to accommodate more people, at 6 p.m., we are going to do a night of worship and prayer, and we are going to focus in on these two founding pastors. I don't know how all this works, but I simply do know this is a truth. There is something to their spiritual DNA being part of this body, and we want to honor that by contending for their healing. Many of you were a part of a prayer and worship night a few years ago when two beloved members of our church had been given up to die. And that was Rusty Beggarly and Anthony Roddy. And both of them, the doctors had said it's over. And we went to war that night. Now, we weren't the only ones praying. There were other people praying for them and contending for them too, just like there are for Steve and Denzel. But I know something. I know that night something changed and something broke. And we saw both of those men brought back from a death sentence and fully restored to this church and this community. I'm fighting for the same thing again. In this case, it won't be for them to be coming back to our church, so to speak, but it will be a victory for this church as well as a victory for those precious men. So if you can be a part of that, and there will not be childcare, but kids are welcome to be a part of this. It's just going to be a time of all-out worship and intense prayer as we lay claim to the promises of God to heal these men and raise them up off of their bed of affliction. So please plan to join us at 6 p.m. this Saturday evening. Thanks so much for taking this time. I really mean that. Love you all very much. It is such an honor and a privilege to pastor this flock. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Have a great rest of your week.